Far from the busy center of the galaxy, an alien exploration fleet moved slowly through a quiet region of space. This region was known as a peaceful area. Galactic maps marked it as low activity. No wars, no powerful empires, no dangerous civilizations, just lonely stars, cold planets, and drifting asteroids. Most fleets never traveled here. There was simply nothing important to find. But the ships of the Carthian Union explored everywhere. The Carthians were a powerful alien civilization. They were famous across the galaxy for their technology and their hunger for knowledge. Their scientists believed one simple idea: if something existed in the universe, it must be studied. Their fleets scanned everything, every strange signal, every unknown object, every abandoned station, even empty space itself, because knowledge meant power, and the Carthians believed they understood almost everything about the galaxy. At least, that is what they believed, until that day. Inside the command bridge of the lead exploration ship, a young sensor officer suddenly leaned closer to his screen. His scanners had detected something unusual. At first it looked like a small signal, just a faint reading near a distant blue planet. The officer adjusted the scanner. The signal became stronger, then clearer. He frowned. "Commander," he said carefully. "Unknown object detected." The bridge became slightly quieter. The fleet commander walked toward the sensor station. Location: orbit above the planet's ocean. The large screen in the center of the bridge changed. A distant world appeared. The planet was covered with dark oceans and massive storm clouds. Lightning flashed across the atmosphere, and above those violet waters, something large floated in orbit. The commander crossed his arms. "Identify the vessel." The officer zoomed the image. The shape slowly became clearer. Long, sharp, angular. The hull was made of dark metal that reflected the lightning from the planet below. It looked powerful, heavy, and completely unfamiliar. The officer searched through the galactic ship database. No match appeared. His voice lowered. "Unknown design." The commander raised an eyebrow. "No known species?" The officer hesitated. Then he zoomed even closer. Symbols appeared on the ship's hull. Small markings, letters. The computer translated them automatically. The officer froze. "Human." The bridge fell silent. Everyone looked at the screen again. Humans. The Carthians had heard of them. A young species, emotional, divided, still growing, still learning. Most alien civilizations believed humans were not yet powerful enough to be taken seriously. They were explorers, traders, sometimes soldiers, but never a real threat. The commander gave a quiet laugh. "One human ship in empty space?" He shook his head. "Probably a patrol vessel that lost its way." Another officer nodded. "Yes, Commander." The commander waved his hand. "Run a full scan." A green beam of light shot from the alien scout ship. It crossed the distance quickly. The beam touched the strange human vessel. The scanners began working. Information flooded across the screens. Hull composition, armor thickness, internal structure, weapon systems, power readings, everything. The sensor officer watched the data carefully. Then suddenly, he stopped moving. His hands froze above the controls. The commander noticed immediately. "What is it?" The officer did not answer. He only stared at the screen. "This cannot be correct." The commander walked closer. "Explain." The officer slowly turned his display so the commander could see. "Commander, this is not a patrol vessel." The commander looked confused. "Then what is it?" The officer swallowed. "It is a warship. Not just any warship. A massive one." The commander still looked calm. "That is normal," he said. "Humans build warships." But the officer shook his head slowly. "No, Commander, you do not understand." He zoomed the scan deeper. New layers of data appeared. Weapons hidden beneath armor plates, missile launch bays, heavy rail cannons, energy weapons stronger than those used by entire alien fleets. The commander's smile slowly disappeared. "How many weapons?" The officer answered quietly. "Enough to destroy multiple fleets." Silence filled the bridge. Then the scanner discovered something worse. The power source. Warning symbols flashed across every screen. Energy levels rising. Reactor type unknown. Power output impossible to measure. The system struggled to understand the readings. Finally, the computer displayed a single message. "Power Sorius, unrateable." The sensor officer's voice trembled. "Commander, our scanners cannot measure its energy output. That should be impossible." The commander stared at the massive human ship floating calmly above the stormy ocean below. Then suddenly, another signal appeared. The human vessel had noticed the scan, and it had responded. The human warship began scanning them back. Every system, every weapon, every weakness. And in that moment, the alien fleet understood something terrifying. They had not discovered the human warship. The human warship had allowed them to find it. The alien bridge stayed silent for several seconds. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound inside the command room was the soft humming of the scanners. The commander slowly straightened his posture and forced himself to stay calm. "Continue scanning," he ordered. His voice was steady, but his mind was not. Something about that ship felt wrong, very wrong. The sensor officer obeyed and increased the scan power. More detailed information appeared on the screens. The ship's full size was finally calculated. The number made several officers gasp. "Length confirmed," the computer announced. 3,100 meters. The commander stared at the display. 3 kilometers. That was not a patrol ship. That was not even a normal warship. That was something else entirely. The officers zoomed the image again. The dark metal hull looked thick and layered. Each layer was made from an unknown alloy. The scanners tried to analyze the material. The results came back with another warning. Material composition, unknown. Another officer spoke nervously. "Commander, our strongest weapons may not even damage that armor." The commander did not answer. He was too busy studying another part of the scan. Large sections of the human ship were hollow. Massive internal hangars filled the center of the vessel. The sensor officer magnified the scan. Inside those hangars were dozens of smaller craft. No, hundreds. Fighter ships, bombers, drone swarms, entire squadrons stored inside the warship. The officer whispered slowly, "This ship carries its own fleet." The commander felt a chill run through his body. He'd seen many powerful ships before, but nothing like this. "Continue deeper scans," he said quietly. The scanners pushed further into the ship's structure. More systems appeared. Massive shield generators. Energy conduits larger than entire alien ships. Automated repair systems. Then the weapons list continued. Heavy rail cannons lined the outer hull. Missile launchers hidden behind armored plates. Energy weapons capable of firing across entire planetary systems. Each new discovery made the alien officers more uncomfortable. But then the scanners found something that truly frightened them. A chamber buried deep in the center of the warship, protected by layers of armor, shielded by unknown technology. The computer struggled to identify the device inside. After several seconds, a label appeared. "Gravitational Singularity Projector." The commander frowned. "What does that mean?" The science officer ran a simulation. The main screen displayed a small rocky planet. Then the computer activated the weapon. A beam of strange energy fired from the human warship. The planet began shaking, then cracking, then collapsing. Not exploding, not burning, collapsing. The entire world folded inward until nothing remained. The simulation ended. The bridge was completely silent. One officer finally spoke in a weak voice. "That weapon destroys planets." Another officer corrected him. "No, it erases them." The commander felt his heartbeat rising. He slowly looked back toward the human ship outside. The warship floated peacefully above the stormy planet below. Lightning flashed behind its dark hull. But the terrifying discoveries were not finished yet. The scanners continued reading internal systems. The computer suddenly detected something unusual. Movement. Inside the ship. The sensor officer leaned closer. "Commander, life signs detected." "How many?" The officer scanned again. His eyes widened. "Minimal crew." The commander blinked. "That cannot be correct. A warship this size should require thousands of crew members." But the scanner displayed a different answer. "Crew estimated. 23 humans." Shock spread across the bridge. One officer spoke. 23? How can 23 control a ship like that? The science officer studied the data again. Then he understood. The ship is heavily automated. Artificial intelligence systems control most functions. The commander stared at the display. That meant the ship could fight entire battles with almost no human help. It could think, react, adapt, faster than any living crew. But then something else appeared on the scanners. New energy readings, power levels rising. The human ship was waking up. Lights slowly appeared across the hull. Engines began glowing softly. The alien sensors screamed warnings. Energy levels climbed higher and higher. The commander quickly shouted, "Raise shields!" Across the alien fleet, defense systems activated. Weapons powered up. But the human warship still did not attack. Instead, a communication signal appeared. A calm human voice echoed across every alien ship. "This is United Earth Defense Vessel. You are currently scanning a restricted military asset." The bridge crew listened carefully. "You are advised to leave this system immediately." The commander stared at the massive warship. For the first time in many years, he felt fear, because something about that voice sounded very confident, very calm, as if the human crew knew something the aliens did not. And deep inside the alien commander's mind, a terrible thought appeared. If this was only one human warship, how many more existed in the galaxy? And what were they really built for? The alien fleet remained frozen in space. No one spoke. The human message still echoed inside every control room. "You are advised to leave this system immediately." The words were calm, not angry, not threatening, but something about that calm voice made the alien commander uneasy. He had heard many threats in his long career, but this did not sound like a threat. It sounded like a warning. The commander slowly walked toward the central screen and stared at the massive human warship floating above the stormy ocean planet. Lightning flashed behind the ship's dark hull. For a moment, it looked less like a machine and more like a silent guardian watching over the planet below. The commander finally spoke. "Continue the scans." One officer hesitated. "But Commander, the humans know we are scanning them." "Yes," the commander replied, "but they did not attack. That means they are confident." The officer understood what that meant. If the humans were not afraid, then they believed they were stronger, and that thought made the crew even more nervous. Still, the scanners began working again. The alien sensors carefully analyzed the human warship's internal systems. More data appeared, more numbers, more warnings. The science officer suddenly leaned closer to his display. "Commander, I found something strange." "What is it?" The officer enlarged the image of the ship's reactor. The strange power source in the center of the vessel glowed brightly in the scan. The computer was still unable to fully understand it, but the sensors had gathered enough information to make a small estimate. The officer spoke slowly. "This reactor produces more energy than our entire fleet combined." The bridge became silent again. The commander stared at the numbers. That level of power should not exist inside a single ship. Even the largest alien warships could not generate that much energy. One officer whispered in disbelief, "That is not a reactor. That is a star." The science officer shook his head. "Not exactly. It is something else." He continued reading the analysis. "This reactor bends space around itself. It produces gravitational energy." The commander frowned. "Gravitational energy?" "Yes," the officer said, "and it explains the singularity weapon we detected earlier." The commander began to understand. The human ship did not simply carry powerful weapons. The entire ship itself was built around a technology that manipulated gravity, a technology far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Another officer suddenly interrupted. "Commander, I found something else." "What?" The officer opened another scan layer. Deep inside the human warship were enormous computer cores, thousands of processors, advanced artificial intelligence systems. The science officer analyzed the data. Then he looked up slowly. "This ship is not just controlled by AI, it is partnered with it." The commander raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "The AI is not a simple machine," the officer said. "It learns, it adapts, it fights alongside the human crew." The commander felt a strange chill. A warship that could think. A warship that could learn from every battle. A warship that could learn from every battle. A warship that could improve itself over time. That meant the ship could become more dangerous with every fight. But the discoveries were not finished yet. The scanners moved across the outer hull again. They detected markings carved into the armor. Small symbols, numbers. The officer zoomed the image. These markings appear to be records. "Records of what?" the commander asked. The officer studied the translation, then his eyes widened. "They are battle records." The commander stepped closer. "How many battles?" The officer took a deep breath. "According to the markings, this ship has fought in 32 major conflicts." The commander felt confused. 32? That is not unusual. But the officer shook his head slowly. "You do not understand." He displayed the full translation. Each battle record included a result. The screen showed the same word again and again. "This victory 32 times. Not a single defeat," one officer whispered. "That means this ship has never lost a battle." Another officer looked at the size of the weapons systems again, "And it probably never will." Then something unexpected happened. The human warship moved, not quickly, not aggressively, but deliberately. The massive engines glowed brighter. Space itself began bending slightly around the ship. The alien sensors reacted immediately. Gravitational distortion detected. The commander grabbed the control rail. What is it doing? The science officer checked the readings. Then his face turned pale. It is demonstrating its engine power. Demonstrating its engine power. Demonstrating, the commander repeated. Yes, it is showing us what it can do. The human warship slowly rotated in space. Then the engines released a small pulse of energy. Space warped. Stars shifted slightly. The alien ships shook violently. Warning alarms filled the bridge, but the human ship had not attacked. It had only used a tiny fraction of its power, and yet that small demonstration had nearly disabled several alien vessels. The commander realized the terrifying truth. The human ship was not trying to destroy them. It was teaching them something. A lesson. The commander slowly whispered the thought forming in his mind. This warship was not built to fight battles. It was built to end them. And suddenly the alien fleet understood why the human voice had sounded so calm earlier. Because the humans were not worried. They already knew the outcome of any battle that could happen here. The alien fleet drifted silently in space. Warning lights flashed across the bridges of several ships. Engines struggled to stabilize. Navigation systems recalculated positions again and again. All of this chaos had been caused by only a small pulse from the human warship, and the human ship had not even fired a weapon. Inside the Carthian command vessel, the commander stood frozen while officers rushed around the control room. "Stabilize the fleet," he ordered. "Rebalance engine output." The navigation officer worked quickly. Engines responding, but slowly. The commander clenched his hands. The power of that ship was far beyond what they had expected. Even worse, the human warship had shown that power without aggression. It was not attacking. It was simply showing what it could do, almost like a warning. The commander looked again at the massive ship outside the window. It floated calmly above the ocean planet. Storm clouds moved across the world below it. Lightning flashed across the dark hull of the human vessel. The warship looked like a silent guardian protecting the planet. Suddenly, the communication system activated again. The same calm human voice returned. "You have now witnessed a minor gravitational engine test." The alien crew listened carefully. This demonstration was performed at less than 2% reactor output. Several officers looked at each other in shock. 2%. The commander felt his throat tighten. If that level of disturbance came from 2% power, what would happen at full strength? The human voice continued. "You are advised again to leave this system. No hostile action will be taken if you withdraw." The message ended. Silence filled the alien bridge once more. The science officer slowly turned toward the commander. "That ship is not bluffing." The commander nodded slowly. He knew that already, but he was not ready to retreat yet. Not without understanding more. "Continue scanning," he said. The sensor officer hesitated. "But commander, they can detect our scans easily." "That is fine," the commander replied. "They already know we are here." The officer began scanning again. The alien sensors focused on the warship's engines. New data appeared. Energy flow patterns, gravity distortion fields, mass displacement waves. The science officer studied the information carefully. Then he noticed something unusual. "Commander, the engines are not designed only for movement." The commander frowned. "What do you mean?" "They can manipulate gravity across large distances." The officer ran a simulation. The screen displayed the surrounding star system. The warship fired a focused gravitational wave. Asteroids moved. Space bent. Entire trajectories changed. The commander watched carefully. "That means, yes," the officer said quietly, "this ship could redirect asteroids, or pull ships out of hyperspace, or even crush enemy vessels with gravity pressure." The commander slowly understood. This ship controlled space itself. Weapons were only a secondary feature. Then another officer shouted suddenly, "Commander, new reading detected." Everyone turned toward the screen. "What is it?" The officer enlarged the scan. Behind the human warship, hidden inside the darkness of space, several small signals appeared. Faint, almost invisible. The scanner enhanced the image. Shapes slowly appeared. More ships. Human ships. The commander felt his stomach tighten. How many? The officer calculated quickly. At least 12. Gasps spread across the bridge. 12 warships, all similar design, all hidden in deep space, watching, waiting. The alien fleet had only seen one of them, but the entire time, an entire human squadron had been nearby, silent, invisible. The commander stared at the screen. If those ships had attacked, the alien fleet would already be destroyed. Another human message suddenly appeared. The calm voice returned once more. You have now detected the defense perimeter. The alien crew exchanged nervous glances. The voice continued. This region of space is protected by the United Earth Defense Network. The commander whispered slowly. Defense Network, the human voice continued. These ships are not invasion vessels. They are guardians. They exist to protect inhabited worlds and nearby trade routes. The alien science officer quietly whispered. If these are only defensive ships, the commander finished the sentence, then their offensive fleet must be far stronger. The human voice spoke one final time. You may now choose your next action. Leave peacefully, or continue this encounter. The alien commander looked around his bridge. His officers looked back with nervous faces. Everyone knew the truth now. This was not a battle they could win. Not today, not tomorrow, and maybe not ever. The commander slowly took a deep breath. Then he gave the order. Prepare withdrawal. Because sometimes the wisest decision in war was knowing when not to fight. The alien fleet slowly began preparing to leave the system. Engines warmed. Navigation systems calculated a safe jump route. But before the fleet could move, the Carthian commander raised his hand. Wait. The officer stopped. The navigation officer looked confused. Commander? The commander stared at the giant human warship still floating above the stormy planet. Something about the situation still bothered him. The humans had shown power. They had shown control. But they had not shown aggression. That was strange. Most powerful empires love to demonstrate dominance. But the humans seemed different. The commander made a decision. Send a communication request. The bridge crew looked surprised. You want to speak with them? Yes, the commander replied. If we are leaving, we leave with answers. The communications officer transmitted the signal. A few seconds passed, then the response arrived. The same calm human voice returned. Communication channel open. The commander stepped forward. This is Commander Varex of the Carthian Union Exploration Fleet. I request clarification. There was a short pause. Then the human voice replied. Clarification regarding what? The commander looked at the massive ship on the screen. You have power greater than many empires, yet you hide in quiet regions of space. You do not expand. You do not conquer. Why? Silence filled the bridge. For several seconds there was no answer. Then a different human voice spoke. This voice sounded older, calmer, more serious. Because we already tried that once. The alien crew exchanged confused looks. The commander frowned. What do you mean? The human voice answered slowly. 2 centuries ago, humanity expanded very quickly. We explored hundreds of systems. We built colonies. We built fleets. We believed we were strong. The voice paused, but we were wrong. The alien officers leaned closer to their screens. What happened? The commander asked. The answer came quietly. We found something. The bridge became silent again. The human continued speaking. Something older than every civilization in the galaxy. Something that destroyed entire empires. The alien science officer whispered softly. An ancient species, the human voice replied. No, not a species. A machine network. The commander's eyes widened. The human continued. They were ancient war machines left behind by a forgotten civilization. They did not negotiate. They did not communicate. They simply erased any advanced civilization they detected. Cold silence filled the alien bridge. We lost many colonies, the human voice continued. Entire human fleets vanished. Whole star systems were destroyed. The commander spoke carefully. And you defeated them? Yes, but only barely. The human voice became quieter. We built ships like Atlas to fight them. We developed gravity weapons, artificial intelligence fleets, autonomous defense networks. Everything the aliens had scanned suddenly made sense. Those terrifying weapons, those impossible reactors, they had not been built to fight alien empires. They had been built to fight something far worse. The commander slowly asked another question. Where are those machines now? The answer came calmly. Destroyed. But fragments of their systems still exist in deep space. So humanity watches. We patrol quiet regions. We guard worlds that may never know the danger. The alien science officer whispered to himself. All this time, the commander finished the thought. Humans were protecting the galaxy. The human voice spoke again. Protection does not require recognition. We do not need praise. We only need peace. The alien commander looked again at the 12 hidden human warships surrounding the system. Silent guardians, watching the stars, waiting for threats that most civilizations did not even know existed. The commander lowered his head slightly. "Then today we thank you." There was a short pause. Then the human voice answered, "You do not need to thank us. We are simply doing what must be done." The alien fleet engines activated again. The jump coordinates finished calculating. The commander gave the final order: prepare for hyperspace. But before leaving, he looked one last time at the human warship Atlas. And he understood something that very few aliens knew. Humanity was not the most aggressive species in the galaxy. It was something far more dangerous. Humanity was the guardian no one noticed. The engines of the Carthian fleet glowed softly as they prepared for hyperspace. Navigation systems locked on to their exit path. The alien ship slowly began turning away from the stormy ocean world. Inside the command bridge, Commander Verax remained standing in front of the main screen. His officers worked quietly around him, but his attention was still fixed on the human warship. The massive vessel Atlas floated in orbit like a silent sentinel. Lightning flashed across the dark clouds of the planet below. For a moment, the warship looked almost alive, watching, guarding, waiting. Commander Verax slowly folded his arms. He had spent his entire career exploring unknown space. He had discovered strange planets, ancient ruins, and forgotten civilizations, but nothing had shocked him more than what he had learned today. For decades, the Carthian Union believed the galaxy was mostly understood. The major empires were mapped. The strongest fleets were known. Every powerful civilization was monitored, or so they believed. But today he had discovered something hidden in the quiet parts of space. Something powerful, something patient. Humanity. Not the young and divided species many aliens believed them to be, but a civilization quietly watching the stars, guarding places most empires ignored. The commander turned toward the communications officer. "Open one final channel." The officer nodded and sent the signal. The calm human voice returned almost immediately. "Channel open." Commander Verax spoke clearly. "This is Commander Verax of the Carthian Union. We are withdrawing from this system." The human voice replied calmly. "Acknowledged," but the commander continued. "There is something else." There was a short pause. "Proceed." Verax looked once more at the massive human warship. "You protect this region of space?" "Yes." "You patrol for ancient threats?" "Yes." "But this area contains many empty systems. No colonies, no trade routes, no empires." The commander paused before asking the question that had been growing in his mind. Why guard such a quiet place? For several seconds there was no answer. Then the human voice returned, but this time it sounded slightly different, more serious. "Because quiet places are where danger hides." The alien crew listened carefully. The human continued. "Ancient machine fragments still drift through unknown systems. Dormant signals appear sometimes. Old weapons wake up. We monitor those events." The science officer whispered quietly. "They are watching for the return of the machines." The human voice continued. "And not only machines." The commander raised an eyebrow. "What else?" The answer came slowly. "There are things older than civilizations, older than empires, older than recorded history." Cold silence filled the alien bridge. The human voice remained calm. "Some threats do not come from technology. They come from the deep parts of the universe." The commander felt a chill. "What kind of threats?" There was another pause. Then the human answered simply, "The kind that wiped out the civilization that built the machines." The bridge crew exchanged uneasy looks. If something had destroyed a civilization powerful enough to build galaxy-killing machines, then that threat must have been unimaginable. The human voice spoke again. "That is why ships like Atlas exist. To watch, to wait, to respond if necessary." The commander slowly understood. The human warship was not just a defender. It was an early warning system, a guardian placed at the edge of quiet space. And suddenly the commander realized something else. This system was not the only one. There must be hundreds, maybe thousands. Human guardian ships spread across the silent regions of the galaxy, watching, waiting, protecting civilizations that never even knew they were being protected. Commander Verax lowered his head slightly. "Your work is admirable." The human voice responded quietly. "It is necessary." The alien fleet engines reached full charge. The hyperspace junk countdown appeared on every bridge. 10 seconds. Commander Verax gave one last look at the human warship Atlas. He knew the galaxy would not believe his report. Many empires would laugh. They would say humans were still young, still divided, still unimportant. But Verax had seen the truth. Humans were not trying to rule the galaxy. They were doing something far more difficult. They were protecting it. The countdown reached 0. The alien fleet jumped into hyperspace. Space became quiet again. Only the human warship remained above the stormy world. The ship's sensors slowly scanned the surrounding stars, watching, listening, waiting, because somewhere in the dark parts of the universe, something might still be out there, and if it ever returned, humanity would already be ready.